Well, what keeps coming up for me too is just that even though that he was not active, he still has that foundation of feeling like he needs to have control over his wife. And so you are a very outspoken individual. You have a strong personality. So is that his way of trying to control you?
Oh yes, because that part of who I am was silenced for 4 years. I was to be obedient, um, quiet, submissive. I mean, he'd even use some doctrine about being the submissive wife. You know, not interpreted correctly at all, but anyhow. Um, but I had to be that.
So even though he wasn't going to church, he was still going to use the church doctrine to manipulate you into controlling you.
Here's the crazy part. The last incident that he and I had, I remember the warm blood dripping down my face. And I was going in and out of like darkness, and I'm awake and then I'm not. I could hear my child in the background, 15 years old, let go of her, stop. Um, all the horrific things that you see and hear about that you don't really think and grasp are real, but they very much was for me. And then all of a sudden, EMTs being at my house, him long gone, who knows where he fled to, because my daughter, my 15-year-old daughter at the time, called 911 and got them here. So he pushed my daughter out of the way and ran because he could hear the police sirens, is what my daughter recollects, and fled. Now, EMT's taking care of me. I end up at the hospital. I get a CT done, and they tell me I have a traumatic brain injury because of how much I've been abused for the previous 4 years, and I have some brain swelling going on, and they won't even be able to really determine till I'm healed from today's incident. Basically, um, the cops catch up with my third husband. They put him in jail for one night, and his mother, who is a staunch Mormon, like Relief Society queen, just one of those temple goer, walks around with her Book of Mormon and preaching and all of the things, bailed him out and immediately went to all of our friends and family in the Spanish ward and told them that I deserved it. I provoked it because I was having an affair, which is 100% false. I did not have an affair on that man at all. Um, and she still goes to the temple now, and to this day will still speak about me, about what a traumatic wife I was to him. I ruined him. I broke his heart. And she still goes to the temple on Saturday mornings, and she's okay with herself. And her son, he's never said anything. He's still active on paper. Like, he could walk into the bishops right now and just update the date on his recommend if he wanted. And I'm not the only wife he's done this to. He's been married, last I heard, 6 times total. And he's done it to every single one of us and gets away with it because his mom bails him out. And the judicial system, unfortunately, has a lot of loopholes that aren't quite fair to us women either. So it's kind of hard to hear that as well, because the judicial system out here is very much influenced by the church. Everything is influenced out here by the church. Utah, when they say a Utah Mormon is our own breed, 100%. But the thinking is the same all over the world. I've seen it. I've traveled the world. I've been like all over the place. It's very much the thinking is the same. But now out here, you've got government and religion intertwined. There's no hope for us women if your abuser is in any kind of light a good member.
Well, and before you've gone to your bishop and they don't believe you.
No, they don't. Or they'll say, "What did you do to provoke them?" Like, that's crazy. And I'm not, and this isn't the same bishop throughout all this timeline that I'm speaking. I've had multiple at this time. So it isn't oh, you had a bad experience with one guy. No, no. I've had multiple horrible experiences in different wards, in different branches, in different stakes, different men.
It's awful. And this woman, your third husband's mother, she is one of those women that has joined the side of the oppressor. And now she is also implementing that same abuse, that same power, that same control over you.
Yeah. Um, while I allow her to, at least. Um, because now I stand strong. I've gotten a lot of help for my mental health to get past that whole everything that I've survived since I've been 17 years old. It's been traumatic, and um, I can stand strong and loud and proud. I would be able to face my abuser and his mother. I like they have zero control over me. I won in the long run. Like, I'm standing, I'm alive, and I'm happy.
Well, and another thing that the church teaches too is that enduring pain is righteousness. And so for you to
Yeah.
even, right? So for you to even stay for as long as you did, I'm sure that you had that sense inside you where you felt like you were being righteous. You were staying, you didn't want another failed marriage. But essentially, at the end of the day, you had to choose your life.
Yeah. And it was the best thing for me. I was able to escape at, 1 a.m. when he was out with friends for the night. And I literally got all of my stuff as much as I could. I drove a little Fiat at the time, and it was anything I could cram into that car with my daughter, and we escaped. And I never looked back.
So now you have a third marriage that has ended in shame and silence.
Hmm. And I'm still excommunicated at this point, mind you.
You are still excommunicated. You still bear that scarlet letter.
Yes. 2 weeks later,
2 weeks later,
my
this is
divorce is final.
ridiculous.
I know.
The religious pressure that you had absolutely like blows my mind.
Oh, I know. I look back on it and I'm like, what was I doing? Like, where could my life have been right now had I not had this manipulation instilled in me my whole life?
I mean, what you were doing was doing what you were groomed to do your entire life.
Absolutely.
That is the religious pressure that you had. And so, of course, now you're finding another marriage
Yeah.
instead of just being single and figuring out who Jen is and focusing on
Yeah.
raising your daughters
Yeah.
and building your own career and whatever that is that you want to do. You still were not able to do it because you had this religious pressure. So now two
Yeah.
weeks later, not that this is bad because it sounds like this fourth marriage is great.
Yeah. Few. But so yeah, like, once my divorce was finalized, and he didn't put up a fight for the divorce because I had taken pictures of all the abuse and stuff, and I just basically threatened him. He signed it, no problem. Divorce was done. So 2 weeks after the divorce was finalized and the ink was still drying, I reconnected with my now husband Josh. He sent me an instant message, and just, we wanted to reconnect. Hey, how are you? I heard you got divorced. I'm really glad. I heard he hasn't been nice to all of his wives. I want to make sure you're okay, because we all went to the same high school, so we knew each other.
Well, that also had to have a sense of comfort, I guess, just knowing that somebody finally believed you or finally understood your pain, I guess, because you were being painted out that you were this adulterer and you deserved getting beaten. And now you also have this man coming to you and saying, I believe you, you were treated shitty.
Yeah. He was my knight in shining armor, to be honest, because he was the first person to hear me, not just listen to what I had to say. He was like hearing what I had to say. And um, he came over, we talked for several hours, and he was probably the first male LDS member, because he was very active in the church, who at that
Always
time
had been, right?
always had been born and raised. He's one of 11 siblings, all born and raised in the church. Again, the formula, you got to make a lot of babies. Like my mother-in-law is a saint. I love her. She's the best human being. How she raised all of these kids, like she had 6 of them in diapers at once. Like, could you imagine? Like I
No.
couldn't. So she's a phenomenal woman, and they had an amazing father as well. So that aside, Josh is the first male to approach me and my story when I told him, that actually empathized and said what you had said to me earlier. You did nothing wrong. I'm really sorry that this happened to you. Literally the first person to tell me that, male or female. But in retrospect, having a male member of the church look at me and say that was what made him my knight in shining armor. Um, so because he was very faithful in the church and very loyal, we did have sex before marriage.
So
Oops.
he wasn't perfect.
He wasn't perfect. That's okay. We love him just the way he is. We got married 11 weeks after we started dating. 11 weeks. I didn't even make the 3-month threshold. Like the
No,
pressure.
it's that religious pressure again.
Yes. And he felt it. I actually wanted to get married. I'm a hopeless romantic. So in my mind, I'm like, maybe this will work. Like, this is it. My parents weren't thrilled at this point. Like my LA parents, they were like, oh my gosh, we cannot do this Mr. Toad's Wild Ride anymore. Like, what are you doing? And they were 100% right for it. Because this has been a journey. Like, this has been a horrible, hard, obstacle filled journey that a lot of people who aren't raised or born into the LDS faith can really understand that pressure. I mean, and my parents out in LA, they're not religious at all. They don't. So when they hear all these stories that I grew up telling them, like they've always told me, do you realize you're part of a cult? Like they'd always tell me that. And I would get so offended. Like, no, I'm not. How dare you? You guys don't love me. Like all the things. But they were right this whole time. They were right. And so after getting married, after 11 weeks, I went through the repentance process, even though I was excommunicated still. I went through it for the wrong reasons because my knight in shining armor loved me just the way I was, my Josh. I wanted to do it for him. I wanted it to work for him. And I thought, well, maybe I've just been kissing the wrong toads all this time. I don't know. So I'll give it a try.
Because he wanted to be sealed to you.
Yeah, that was our ultimate goal, was to be sealed.
Right. And one of your husbands refused to be sealed to you.
Yeah, my third one. Mm-hmm.
So this is something that's comforting to you.
Yeah, are you kidding me?
Because you didn't get it with
Yeah.
your last one. So now that you're on the flip side and now
I'm like, it's happening.
yes, so that makes
Like,
sense that you're like, okay, I'll do it again. I'll go through this process. I now have to go to the bishop. I have to explain to him in detail all of the sins in pornographic detail in a private room where you have already been taken advantage of by a bishopric member.
yes.
I can't even
So now here's
imagine.
a whole new set of bishopric. Now I'm at an English ward. So I'm hoping this is it. It's going to be better. Like maybe more structure, maybe a different mindset. Nope. It didn't
No.
happen that way. No.
I
So
don't think that it differs by race.
No, it doesn't really. And even having this conversation now with you, I my eyes have been open to that because I've always thought, hey, maybe it is just us that are like wacky and conform to their own set of rules. No, it's everyone. It is literally everyone in that faith, and convenience. So here we are repenting for the same sin. Hey, it takes two to tango. I wasn't the only one sexually active. um, Josh was able to keep his garments on.
Right. So he's going through and he is confessing his sin that he had sex with you before you guys were married.
Mm-hmm.
No problem.
Nope.
He gets that repentance coupon once again.
Yep. And so this is like during the COVID like pandemic, and that was like a wild time. We were all home, and my husband and I, so Josh and I, owned our own company, and it was like an HVAC company, and so with that, everyone was home breaking their heaters and air conditioners. We cleared $1 million in a year and a half. Like that is not heard of, like at all. So as you can imagine, my husband being a very faithful tithing payer, you do the math. They were getting a lot of money from us. A
It
lot of
isn't that
money.
$100,000 in tithing
Correct.
in 1 year?
And I remember Josh saying, but now I'm going to give a little more for the missionary fund and a little more for, all the. So it was more than 100K that they received from us,
Well, and
easily.
you're also giving once a month, right? You have these what are they? The young men coming around your ward and they're also collecting the fast
Yeah.
offerings, and your fast
Yes.
offerings have to be higher than everybody else's because now that you make more money,
Yeah.
you must be eating more expensive meals.
Exactly. So then I have to contribute what I would have paid because apparently I have steak and lobster every night. Like, first of all, I love ramen. Let's start there.
Same, same girl,
Okay.
same.
That's an 88-cent pack of happiness right there. So, but whatever. So yeah, we did it all. They cleared. If I had to really put a number on it, I'd say minimum 125K they got from us, just in that little time period. Um, so they specifically said it will be important for you, Josh, to continue paying tithing so that you don't lose any blessings in your household. Now I'm still at this point, like I'm like twitching, like, cause I'm like, okay, let's just, this is fine. And
And
everything's on fire around
are
me.
you working?
Yes, I'm working. I'm managing dental offices at this time. So I'm making decent money.
But your tithing isn't close to what his is.
Oh, here's the thing. I refused to pay tithing. Tithing came from only what Josh was making. I was not going to give 10% of anything I earned myself. Like I've survived abuse, I've survived heartbreak, I've survived like manipulation and grooming. You think I'm going to give 10% of anything to those people? Like it wasn't happening.
Well,
So,
that's why he was able to keep his garments and
yeah,
you weren't.
no. What they did say is I could get rebaptized. So I got rebaptized, but
Well,
they
because they needed
specifically,
numbers cuz
they need numbers.
this was after 2020 and so many
Mhm.
people left the church.
Yes. So yeah, we're talking 2021 at this point. And they said you can get rebaptized, but you will need to start paying tithing because you'll be a member. I, to this day, never paid them tithing, but I did get baptized and said, yeah, okay, I'll pay tithing. Wink, wink, whatever. Um, but Josh he knew where my heart was in that, and he loved me still. He was like, you know what, I get it. It's fine. We're okay. I'm paying a lot anyway, so we're good. And I said, okay, like that worked. Um, so when I get baptized, they made sure to tell me, hey, this isn't a festive event. This isn't an event to be celebrated because of your background and past with the church. We want minimal people there, only the absolute required family members who understand your story. but we cannot publicize that you're getting baptized and make this like, you can't bring food after, like, you can't celebrate it.
You're
Get
being
dunked, walk out.
you're being
Yeah.
punished.
Yeah. It was like a shameful event. Like, I wasn't allowed to go do like a fun, I mean, I think we went out to eat anyway, but I wasn't allowed to host anything like at the chapel.
How did that make you feel?
Ashamed, like I still wasn't good enough. So that was already the foundation of this round two.
How did your husband feel?
I remember Josh telling me, this isn't sitting right with me. And I go, I know, babe, me either, but let's just have faith and do what they're asking of us.
You are
That's what my
trying
answer was.
you are trying so hard to make him happy.
Yes. And in my mind, the way God needed me to obey. Because what they instill in you as well is that the love of God is earned. And that's not how Josh and I live our life now. See, the love of God is freely given to us because Jesus died on the cross, not because I have to go baptize a bunch of dead people. Like, if that doesn't scream cult, I don't know what else does.
No,
Because I got to
and
go
you're
baptize.
you can't earn your way to heaven through service and tithing money.
No, no, no. Like, that's like the love of God is given to us. Like, side note, like, to me, having to do any kind of temple ordinances for dead people, otherwise they're not going to get into heaven, is psychotic and an oxymoron to me, because why was Jesus dying on the cross not enough? Like, grasp that for a second. Like, how, if that's what you guys are claiming, Jesus this, Jesus that, when really they don't, because they also think Satan's his brother. But that's for another episode, Mel. you know.
Well, okay, so let's also like recap also baptism in general. Like when you were baptized for the first time, I'm sure that it was a party. It was celebrated. You had all
Yes.
the family there, right? It was a
Yeah.
huge deal.
Yeah, big deal. We had a big dinner. I had like all my primary friends were there. Like, I got my beautiful white dress and I got to keep my towel that had my name on it and Jenny's baptismal towel. Like, oh yeah, big deal.
It's a big deal. And now you're basically told that this is not a celebration. This is not something to be excited about. This is a shameful experience. How, like, make that make sense to me?
It doesn't. I can't, because it doesn't make sense. Like, if we think about their doctrine, if I'm to be washed and cleansed, why would anything in the past matter? It should be celebrated, but it was not allowed to be. So they already go back again, convenience, on their own doctrine.
Because you're being punished.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You're being punished and you're being shamed and you are being taught a lesson.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So here we are. I do it anyway. And we get told, all right, let's continue the path onto getting sealed. We just need to let the first presidency know, a representative of the first presidency, let's let them know that you've been baptized. And when we hear back, we will bring you back into the office and let you know.
Why would they have to
Well,
send that to the first presidency?
because I was excommunicated and rebaptized. Apparently, any kind of case like that needs to be redirected to the first presidency. That's what I was told. I don't know if that's real, but that's what was relayed to me.
So he's kind of like shifting the blame onto somebody else.
Yeah, totally. Totally not taking accountability for being a part of it. Well,
And normally you do have to wait, because I was baptized at 19 and I did have to wait a year to go through the temple. So even if I met somebody and I was going to get married as young as 19, because they do tell you, like, once you're baptized, like, your next goal is to find somebody to marry. And I was 3 years later after that before I got married, but I would have had to have waited an entire year. So you are having to wait this year out. And because it's kind of like I feel like it's kind of like a trial. Like we're going to
Yeah,
put you or probation. It's a
probation.
probationary, yeah. It's a probationary period here for Jenny. She's being rebaptized. She is this
Like, are you paying tithing? Are you going to
yeah.
church every Sunday?
Mhm.
Are you, do you have a calling and are you doing it to the utmost extent of your capacity? Like all the A, B's, and C's that need to qualify me to be good enough. So yes, in retrospect, I was supposed to wait a year. However, about 6 months into that timeline is when they brought us back in.
So is that because you weren't paying tithing?
That's what started the conversation. Yes. That I was having lack of faith and not doing my part. Um, but it wasn't the climactic part of that conversation. It was just the kind of like the starter point, if you will.
Oh yeah,
Um,
all of this makes
yeah,
sense. It all checks
yeah,
out.
totally. The climactic part of this conversation was when the the bishopric told me that the representative of the church contacted all three of my ex-husbands. All three of my ex-husbands. Now, my first husband, who I was sealed to, he couldn't care less. He got rid of me. He said, "Hey, she wants to get sealed, let her. I don't care. I don't have anything to do with her or my daughter. So that's your guys' problem." So they got the okay from him. He gave permission for me to be sealed, to break our sealing and get resealed. My second husband didn't even
But let's
communicate.
also mention that that shouldn't even be necessary because when you are excommunicated, you lose all of those blessings, as they call it, right? Those blessings of the temple. So if you had a temple marriage and you were excommunicated, that severs your temple marriage.
It didn't for me. So if that's policy, they did not apply it to my case. They said, regardless of me being excommunicated, that was still a sealing that was active and standing. So they needed my first husband's permission.
Hmm. So what was the reason to talk to the other two husbands?
Beats me. I couldn't tell you. My second husband let me know they tried and left him a voicemail. He's like, "I'm not speaking to them. I'm just giving you a heads up that they tried to communicate to me." Um, my third husband, my abuser, the awful human being that he is, um, whenever he spoke to the representative, lied to them and said, "She's lying to you. Jen is lying to you. She's been having an affair with Josh throughout our whole marriage. She's walking into this falsely. She should not be sealed to anybody." And the church representative took his word over ours and informed us that I would never be able to be sealed to Josh because I do not qualify for a second sealing because I walked into this falsely and I just didn't have the requirements for a second sealing.
What does that say about a church that contacts three ex-husbands and lets them decide what your level of worthiness is?
To me, it screams cult, power, like power trips, and grooming of their own kind.
So again, you are having to get permission from your first husband to get sealed to your current husband. You have absolutely no say, and they are also deciding the level of your worthiness.
And
All
it
men,
wasn't good enough.
all
It
all
wasn't good enough.
men are doing this,
Yeah.
and your current husband has sat there blemish free.
Yeah. So when Josh and I heard that, I'll never forget because it was probably the most romantic thing that I've ever seen him do. He stood up and said, "This is wrong. And the fact that you guys believe her abuser who almost killed my wife, all
Well,
of
yes,
you
but
go to hell.
all of them were dirtbags.
All of them.
All three of them were dirtbags. They are not good, upstanding members of the church. They are all dirtbags. And they believe these dirtbags over you, somebody that is trying to, you seem as though that you're in a place that you're truly trying. You're trying to follow these rules set by these men other
Yeah,
than paying tithing, and they got you
right.
there. So they
They
are
got me
not going,
there.
yeah, they got you there. So they're not going to let you marry your current husband in the temple. It's not going to happen.
Nope. And they blatantly just said that. Never. Like the word never was repeated so many times. Um, and after Josh said that and, maybe said a couple curse words to him, like, you guys can literally go fuck yourselves, we got up and we left.
I
And
can
we have
relate to that.
never looked back.
I said the same thing when I left. I can relate to that.
Yeah. And it was the most delicious moment of my life. And we have had our names removed from the church records because I refuse to be a number on their tally sheet because I know that they get tax write-offs for how many members they have, and I will not participate in that. I've had my children removed. I've helped multiple people get their name removed, and there's actually a fantastic website. It's called quitmormon.org. And it's a great lawyer out here in Utah who does it pro bono and sends the letter straight to the McConkey office. And it's a done deal in 30 days. I love it. It's great.
The McConkey office. That's the office that whenever these young children come in and confess to their bishop that they are being molested or raped, they are, instead of going to the authority, they go to the McConkey office, the legal team.
That's them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
One and the same.
that's them.
And that's where the checks get written for the NDAs that they're paying you to do. I have a family member who has an NDA and received a very large check because he was molested by his Mormon Boy Scout leader. He walked away with a lot of money and an NDA.
It's so disgusting. So then
Horrible.
going forward, how was your relationship with your family, with everybody, I guess, as far as you being inactive now?
With my family, we had a turn of events 13 years ago. I lost my sister to suicide 13 years ago.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
yeah, that was really hard. That was due to the pressure of not fitting the mold that the church instills out here. The formula didn't fit for her. The pressure was too much. Um, Alongside depression and a failed marriage, there was other attributes to it, of course, but that failed marriage, which led to severe depression, was they were sealed in the temple. And he was a horrible, horrible man. And to this day is a worthless piece of shit father, so to my poor nieces who are on their own fending for themselves. But my sister took her
I want
life.
to say that I'm shocked by this, but I'm not. I've heard this so many times. So many amazing people that just did not feel as though they could live up to this level of perfectionism, and the depression gets so bad that they take their own life.
Oh yeah. And so for us, for my side of the family, 13 years ago is when everyone kind of left the LDS faith because we knew it had a lot to do with that pressure that my sister felt. So luckily, my mom and my remaining sister, they are no longer members. Um, and so that worked out for us. They support me. Like they know I'm talking to you today. Everyone's stoked about it on my side, at least. Now, when it comes to my husband's side, um, I don't think this is going to go down very well, to be honest. And to be very transparent, I my goal was not to like bash their faith or disrespect them or belittle them for what they still actively live and believe. My goal is to tell you my experience, my story, my opinion, because if just one person could hear, like a woman or man can hear my story and it can touch one heart, then this is all worth it, because we've
Or save a
already been
life.
ostracized or save a life. My husband's dad committed suicide as well 20 years ago. Again, the pressures of the life of not fitting in that mold is too hard for some. So just Josh and I, we know two people. So it is very common out here. Um,
But also understand too is that when people have a hard time hearing the truth or hearing your truth, even if they don't agree with it, if they have a hard time with it, that says more about them and their insecurities than it does about anything that you're saying.
Absolutely. Um, so we've already kind of been ostracized and outcasted. Um,
Do you get invited to family events? Do you get invited to
no,
baptisms? No.
no, we do not. Like very rarely, very rarely. Um, but it's been hurtful because you hear about the birthday parties, the baptisms, the get-togethers, and not being included. And
So it's not even
then
church events. It's
no,
also
no,
it's everything. Graduations,
yeah,
birthdays, every family event
everything.
you're left out of.
Yeah,
That's hurtful.
like a good 95% of them we're not included in. And it hurts, and it's okay. I think now we're at peace with it. And it's funny because to me it's just hypocritical when the LDS 11th article of faith clearly states to let man worship how, when, and where they want. But that's not what they live by. If you're not part of their cool kids club, you're out. So they don't even follow that article of faith. So it's like an oxymoron to me that that's something that's like the foundation of your belief, but they get amnesia about, let's not judge others because we're worshiping God in a different way. That's between them and the Lord, Mel. Like honestly, that's where we're at with it. We're at peace, and we're happy just the way things are.
They're very intolerant.
Yeah, very. Any friends and family that we have that are members, we have been removed quite a bit. It's civil. It's, but with others it's not. I mean, I am like grossly spoken about in such belittling ways by temple active goers. Like it's crazy to me. It's
Same.
insane.
But at the end of the day, like you don't want to be in that circle anyways, especially if you're not wanted.
Yeah, don't my that's what my parents have always told me. My LA parents, they're psychologists, so they give me like these little snippets of wisdom all the time. And they always said, don't be where you're not wanted. And that I have lived by, and I like teach my children that. Do not be where you're not wanted.
Have you been able to gain that sense of community somewhere else?
Yes. So Josh and I, about okay, so September of 2024, we went on a cruise. To us, God has always been important, and I do want to make that clear as well. Um, Jesus plus anything is wrong. That's our belief. If you want to live a religious life, it's the word of God, and that's as good as it gets. You don't need to add new prophets and new revelations and new, kind of like how the girls now, the LDS women can now wear tank tops because they got new garments. Oh,
I mean,
okay. I
sort
didn't
of,
know.
sort of. They
Yeah.
can wear sleeveless. They're pretty thick. They're still like, I mean, they're still pretty thick, but you can wear
But
sleeveless.
yeah, you could totally still wear sleeveless, and it's like, oh, okay,
It
God
really
like just
pisses me off. It
conforms.
really does.
It's aggravating to an extent, like because when I got sealed, my dress was so ugly because it
Mine
had to
too.
go
It had
down to
I had a
here.
t-shirt dress. It was basically a
Yeah,
t-shirt. I'm like, I hate them. I honestly want to get remarried, I guess, in a way, like
yeah,
just so I can have some good pictures. I'm
I
like,
know.
I want to be able to like show off my arms.
Well, and how about the fact that in the Strength of Youth pamphlet back in the 90s, it said if we're showing our shoulders, we're immodest. But now all of a sudden it's okay. No, that's because their numbers are dropping and people are like opening their eyes to the truth and historical fact. And that's why their God is conveniently changing and getting revelations, just like girls can now go on their mission at 18. They're trying to get that baby factory going quicker, sooner rather than later, because the frontal lobe is not developed. They're still a work in progress. They're pliable.
They're
They are
easier to control.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. So have you been able to find a sense of community, a sense of family since you lost all of the community and you lost your family?
Yes, I found a fantastic community actually. So, September 2024, Josh and I went on a cruise, and always having this need for a church family has always been important to us. Well, we met a wonderful pastor on our cruise who lived in Orlando, and we were speaking to him and his lovely wife the entire cruise, the whole 7 days, and he was showing us a whole new way of having a relationship with Christ without it being tied to religion and legalism. And he just so happened to know someone who was a pastor out here in Draper, Utah, which is just 15 minutes away from us, at this wonderful non denominational Christian church named The Rock. And we have been going there ever since. And we have been baptized again as born again Christians. And our favorite thing is the slogan of our church. It says, God without religion. And it is the most beautiful thing because I don't have requirements, Mel. Like, I don't have to pay a certain amount of money. I don't have to um, be married in a special white $1 billion building to make it, and know all the hand signals to be accepted by God. Like, it's wild. Like, it's just, that's not how it is. I've learned that Jesus dying on the cross is good enough for me to be saved because I am a believer and follower of Christ. And um, I've also had a lot of rewiring in my way of thinking of the Godhead and thinking of family and structure and how we're supposed to raise our children following the word. Like my 2-year old grandson knows how to pray. Like that's all there is for me in life. And I get to do that with a man who has always since day one seen me for who I am, and I've seen him for who he is. Now, I'm not saying we've got it all figured out, because we don't. I mean, we've had our own hurdles, addiction, heartbreak, all the trauma that he and I have had to live in our own separate lives. But now we get to look at each other without judging each other, without those goggles of limitations that they make us see others in because they're not good enough. Like, we don't see that anymore. I love him for his imperfections and he loves me for mine, just like God loves us.
I love that. And for the first time ever, you finally have your own free agency, which is amazing.
Yes, I feel free. Like, religion and legalism is not it. It's man-made.
And you mentioned addiction. Like, I think about that and I think about working through any sort of trials that we have within our marriage and within ourselves personally. And if you were still a member of the Mormon Church, they would basically tell you to pray about it. Like, you would have to work out all of those things with the bishop instead of going to an actual professional, somebody that actually can give you tools, like a counselor that is,
a 12-step program that you're going to consistently. Like, that's what makes recovery so beautiful, is if they honestly thought, again, the double standard of their rules, that the bishopric has all the answers. Just like you said earlier, they don't have the tools or experience or like degrees to help people. They don't. They just have the authority of God, which they do not at all. That's complete and utter bullshit. They like a 12 step is what gets us through our recovery. What, yeah, add the Bible, add your faith, add your prayer. No one's saying to disconnect from that portion. But God created these degrees and this knowledge and gave us this so we could help others. And that's really what it is about. People who are professionals.
Well, and also the church is just a shame and fear based religion. And that is not how we're able to get through our marriage struggles. We're not able to use those tools. Shame and fear is not going to get us out of our addictions. It's not going to get us out of any sort of mental health problems that we have. That's not the tools we need. And that's the tools that the church gives you, because it is control, it is fear, and it is shame. And that is how the entire church is ran.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you wish that every Mormon woman would know from you? What could you tell them?
If I could speak to any of the women directly, I would tell them that their obedience, their modesty, and their callings are not what equals their worthiness. That is not at all what makes them good enough. Believing in our higher power, which is God Himself, is what makes you good enough. That's what I would tell them.
Why do you think that you kept marrying within the church system?
Because it's what I was raised to know, what was right and what was safe. And it was a lie. I did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. That's what would make me the good Mormon wife, is to continue that pattern and that mold, not be single for a long period of time, because that's letting Satan in and tempting me to do. I mean, I was told, if you're single for too long, you're going to start dabbling in drugs and alcohol and then multiple sex partners. It's best if you just go quickly get married so you only have sin with one person. I just followed the rules. That's why I kept doing it. And I did it 4 times.
Yeah. So, do you drink alcohol now?
I do. Yeah, I'm a social drinker. I mean, getting drunk, I'm nicking 40, so I couldn't possibly handle that kind of level of fun, because I could not handle a hangover. But yeah, I drink socially. Absolutely. And I have, like, our church gives us coffee when we walk in for free, so we're big coffee drinkers and socially drink. I love it.
And it hasn't ruined your life or ruined your marriage?
Absolutely not. No.
How do you see relationships now that you're 4 years out of the church?
So differently. Especially now with my marriage with Josh, because we were able to be on both sides of that spectrum of trying their rules and now living a life with God without rules. I see now that we can have past. We can have things that have built us, but none of it defines us. And that has been the biggest takeaway of how I see relationships now. And that could be marital or friendship or family. Letting our past define us is judgmental, is unforgiving, and it is not the love of Christ. That's not what the Bible teaches us at all. And so now I see a judge-free, unconditional love, which I've never in my life experienced. We're still a work in progress, Josh and I. We always will be. And I think that should be everybody's goal, is to continue being a work in progress. Anyone could love someone. There's 2 aspects to a marriage to me that is very important, is being in love and liking your partner. And if you've got those 2 things, which Josh and I are so blessed to have, I see relationships now as successful.
My therapist, he basically had told us that our marriage before we left the church is dead. Like, we had to kill that marriage And now we're having to rebuild and create a new marriage because we have different boundaries. We have different things that we are allowing, different things that we're structuring different because we are setting our own
Mm,
rules instead of having
yeah.
a church tell us what those rules are. Is
Yes.
that something that you guys have struggled with?
I think at first, because of the rewiring, the reprogramming of it all, but now it just comes naturally because if we ever try and fall back into that old way of thinking, it causes issues. But when we don't have that influence at all, no, like now we're great, you know? But I think you put it perfectly. That part, that marriage has to die. I actually love that. That's beautiful because it does. It can no longer exist. So metaphorically, I think yeah, we did do that. We just haven't labeled it as such, but we definitely have put that version of Josh and Jen, we buried that version. And now we have a completely different version of Josh and Jen. And you know what's even better is I have a complete new version of Jen. I don't need my husband to make me who I am. I just so happen to like the guy, so I'm going to keep him around, you know? But
Yeah.
like, and he's the most, like, I have all these things going on in my life and he just supports me and hey, you go get him, girl. Like he doesn't care. Like he just, how much money do you need? That's really what what I get asked. And he just puts up with so much of my stuff and it's great because I do feel like an independent woman. I do not depend on my husband at all, but we do lean on each other for emotional support. But both of us have really been able to say, you know what, if we ended up divorced for some reason, some horrible, stupid reason, like we would be okay because we are our own person. And I've never had that, Mel. Like I'm 39 years old and I've never had who is Jenny because I've had to depend on man. And it's so nice to even be able to say, I don't need my husband, but I do want him around.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that because the church does create a dependence of the woman on their husband. And that is so sad. I'm so glad that for the first time that you're able to find out who you are because you seem amazing and so fun and full of life. I just can't imagine all of these men. And it just makes me so sad that you had your fire put out for so long. And I just think about there's so many women within the church. And I was one of them as well, where I was silenced and not just by my husband, also by leadership, where it's like, maybe I could have been something so much more. Maybe I would have done something much before my age that I'm at now of building a career. But I was told that my only role was to get married and to become a housewife. But like, I would have been an excellent breadwinner. I could have been so many things and I should have been able to have that choice. And I just think about all of these young girls that just are never getting that choice. When my daughter at a young age, she said she wanted to be a doctor. And I remember thinking, that's probably not going to work. But that's really what started the whole thing where I was like, this girl is not letting this up. And there was church leaders that had told her, you know what, you should probably be a nurse. That's going to be a lot easier for you being a mom. And I remember her coming home and telling me that. And I remember being like, no, I will help you. Like you want to be a doctor. I will help you. I will raise your kids for you. I will do whatever it is for you to be able to have a dream that I was robbed of. I was robbed of my own dreams. And it's really unfortunate to just see this cycle continue. And we are more than like women should not be oppressed like this. We are more than a housewife. I remember cleaning up puke and dirty diapers and just thinking, is this what I'm meant to be? Is this the ultimate blessing that they tell you in the church that is just, the divine? Is this it?
And you know what? They see women like you and I who you're a powerhouse. Like, I love it. You are a strong woman. And they see women like us and they get scared shitless because if a bunch of us women could get together, like, we would drive them to the ground. And I think that that whole revolution is happening right in front of us. And thank you for doing your podcast because this is a big part of that. And that's, is social media can be a bad thing, but at the same time it could also be a fantastic thing. And I think that's exactly what's happening here is they are not going to silence us anymore, and I love it.
Well, it's a system that needs changed, and nobody cared. I have been out of the church for almost 5 years now. And they didn't care. I didn't have bishops contacting me. Nobody cared. But as soon as I started speaking out and as soon as I started a podcast, that's when I got the excommunication letter. Not the excommunication letter, but for the council for the
The
excommunication.
threat of
Yeah,
the implied. Yeah.
the threat. And even sitting in that meeting and for them to say basically, you need to shut up. You need to shut up. You need to go back on your podcast and you need to say that the church is good and denounce all of the things that you said. I'm like, I am speaking my truth. If that truth sheds negative light on the church, then maybe the church needs to change. And the church is changing. The recent garment change is proof of that. There are so many things that are changing, and I want to be part of that. I want to be part of the movement. I don't want to sit at home and just be a housewife. That's not what I was meant to be. And this has opened up so many amazing doors for me, and I'm so grateful for it. But it doesn't mean that I'm a bad person. It doesn't mean that I hate the church. It doesn't mean that I'm an apostate. I'm still a spiritual person. I'm still religious. I still teach my kids good principles. They just might not be in line with the Mormon Church, and that should be okay. And I should be able to have that freedom to raise my own family any way that me and my husband feel is fit.
Absolutely. And I think that's why I said they forget that that is literally their 11th article of faith. Let man worship God as they want, and they just get amnesia. They don't. They silence you. And I'm so proud of you for not staying quiet and not conforming to what they expect and will threaten you with whatever they want with to you. Don't ever fall for it because this podcast is amazing and I love it. I will forever be a loyal follower. This has been so great.
Oh, thank you. I have had so many people message me. I mean, I can't even get through all of my messages, but
I
just
bet.
knowing the amount of people that this is helping, just for people to know that they're not alone, even hearing your stories, because my stories isn't going to resonate to everybody, but everybody has a different experience and your experience is so much different than mine that you will be able to have a connection with a listener that I wasn't able to have that connection with. And like,
Yeah,
I
that's the
will send
goal.
you the messages as they come in so that you know
Great.
that you are making a difference. And, we're not trying to do this out of any sort of hate. We're
No, not at
trying to
all.
do this to help people, help one another. Us women
Correct.
truly need to be able to be a support system. And if you don't agree with it, that's okay.
Yeah,
But
absolutely. To
if
each
it's
their
hitting
own.
but if it's hitting you negatively, you need to ask yourself why. If you're becoming upset, there's a reason, because truth usually stings, and it's because there's something that internally is wrong.
Yeah, it's called self-inventory.
Ah, that's a great term. Yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. So if you had
absolutely.
something that you could say to your younger self, what would it be?
to not let fear stop you. There is joy, identity, and faith without all the legalism, without the shame, without the heavy guilt and requirements. That God loves me just the way I am. That's what I would say to my younger self. And for the love of God, don't get married 4 times.
Well,
Definitely
yeah.
that.
Well, and also so young.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so young.
So I was a child. I was a baby. I was a baby.
You had 3 marriages that were so much younger than they should have been.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And all
Terrible.
because you live in this high demand religion and you were groomed to believe that that's what you had to do. And
Yeah.
that's not okay.
Yeah. No, never will be.
You never had your own choice.
Mm-mm. Never. It was ripped away from me.
What do you want the listeners, especially listeners that are living in high control religion? And because this is not just Mormon religions that do this, what would you want them to take away from this?
The fear will go away. That little voice that you get that says, don't leave because it's the wrong thing to do. That isn't God. That's the manipulation that we've been raised to believe. That is the conditioning. So the fear will go away. And there is happiness on the other side. There is such freedom and a weight lifted from you when you are finally broken free from the shackles of their conformity. I give you my word and my absolute guarantee that happiness is not conditional. It is free, it is real, and it is within you. So don't listen to that voice because that's not from God. That is absolutely not from God. That is just the brainwashing that we've all been raised to think.
I love that. I can tell that you have done so much work in your own personal journey. And I just think it's beautiful. And I wish you nothing but happiness for the rest of your life. And also, I do want to reassure you that it is okay to have a work in progress with your marriage. Like all of us are individually, we are all a work in progress. And that is my biggest push always, is so that everybody understands that this perfectionism, it's not possible. And it's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to always be a work in progress. And it's okay to show up with freaking looking like you got birds in your hair, like you just got
Yeah.
attacked. You know, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's
Yeah.
okay to
Yeah.
be chaotic.
Absolutely. Hey, just learn to thrive with it and roll with the punches and go with it. Life is good. We're breathing. We're alive. We have friends. We have family that loves us. And whether it's a big one or a small one, or your circle's very small, like if there's one other person in your corner, then hey, that's a win. And if it is just you, that's good enough too. You don't have to be married. You don't have to do anything. You just have to love yourself. Self-love. It's the best thing. Love it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, let's leave it. Let's leave it right there because I feel like that is perfect. And thank you so much for sitting down with me.
Yes. Thank you, Mel. This has been
Yeah,
great.
thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All right, blamers. If there's one thing that today's story makes clear, it's this. It was never her. It was the system. A system that groomed her, blamed her, disciplined her, and tried to define her worth, all while claiming it was God's will. She didn't just survive the Mormon Church, she rebuilt her life. And for anyone listening who grew up thinking that your happiness has to fit into someone else's doctrine, you are allowed to rewrite your story. You're allowed to outgrow the system that hurt you. And remember, if someone gets uncomfortable when you tell the truth, well, guess what? They should have behaved a little better. This is Blame It On Mel. See you next week, Blamers.